Hello everyone, my name is Steve Fuller. I'm the owner of Northern Made Creations and Fuller Mining Enterprises, and today I am coming to you from the Wellness Retreat here in Wasilla, Alaska. And you may wonder why I'm not at the mine. Well, as you can see, it's a little bit frozen out there right now. So right now we're working on all of our wintertime preparations for our summertime mining operation. But I wanted to make a quick video for you guys on how to pan for gold, and that's what this is all about today. So if you purchase one of our jars of gold panning pay dirt, which is gold concentrates from our mining operations on Caribou Creek, Alaska, I want to say thanks for your purchase and a little explanation on how to get the gold out of the dirt. So a little bit about gold panning. So gold panning is one of the oldest forms still used today in mining. We have not found a way, even with all the modern technology and metal detecting and all of the new technologies that have come along, still has not replaced the use of the gold pan. We use this primarily today as a prospecting tool to find the gold deposits that are going to be viable for mining. And anyway, a couple of things about a gold pan. There's several different styles and types of gold pans. I use this really inexpensive black gold pan for doing just concentrate cleanups. This is not the gold pan I use for actually panning raw dirt out of the stream, and I'll explain that in a different video. A couple of things about the pay dirt. So the pay dirt that's in these jars has already been concentrated, and one of the number one keys to fine gold recovery is classification. And by classifying, we mean concentrating the material into the same size. Basically, we use screen sets and things like that to screen it all down. Everything in these vials have already been screened out, so the work's already pretty much been done for you, and now we're just down to the final part of the final cleanup to get the gold out. So the first thing you want to do is basically open the jar, and in the jar, one of the things included, if you kind of shake the jar a little bit, your vial should kind of float to the surface, and you just want to reach in and grab your glass vial out. What I like to do is take the lid, and if you set the vial in the lid, that way you don't lose it, step on it, break it. A couple of important things about the vials. These vials are glass, and so as glass they can shatter. If you drop them on a hard surface, they can break. It's also not something you want small children to run around with, as they can't swallow it or get themselves hurt as with any other kind of glass product. So these are simply used to keep your gold in once you get it out of the dirt. So first thing we want to do is dump all of your material into the pan. Okay, so now we've got all our material in the gold pan, and a couple things about a gold pan. I use several different types, actually two different types of gold pans. There's several on the market, and many of them are really good. You can even use a pie pan to get gold. So the whole idea of what we're doing in gold panning is we're using gravity, and the water is basically a lubricant to sink the gold to the bottom of the pan using specific gravity of the gold. A couple of things about a gold pan. There's several different types of gold pans. I use two. I use these standard little black plastic pans that have ridges and riffles across the top. The ridges are designed to help retain the gold behind it, almost like riffles in a sluice box. And the idea is we're going to be washing the lighter material over the top of those riffles, keeping the gold back in the bottom of the pan. This is not the pan I use when I'm out on the rivers actually prospecting, when I'm panning big gravels that haven't yet been concentrated down and that kind of thing. I specifically use these as more of a cleanup pan. I have carried these backpacking when we were mining in some remote wilderness areas and just kind of going through prospecting. It's great because they're lightweight. You can, stick them in a backpack or whatever. So anyway, as we're talking about using the smaller pan to concentrate our gold, we'll get back to that. So what I like to teach people in the beginning is you notice your gold pan has this angle. And the idea is we want to make the lowest part of this angle right here, we want that to be the lowest center of gravity. That's where we're going to want to capture all our gold, is in the bottom of that little corner pocket right there. So first thing, once we get all our dirt in the pan, is we want to get all the material wet. And a couple of things about gold panning and gold is oils. I want to talk about that for a minute. So you have sometimes up in Alaska we have salmon in the streams and fish. We also have leaves and dead debris that fall in there. All of that contains oils. And the oils that's trapped in all of that will create a surface tension. And the oil also sticks to gold and metal and things like that, and it'll create that, it'll allow that stuff to float. So in order to break that surface tension, there's a couple of products I use. You can either use Jet Dry, which is a product made by Finish. This works really well. It's really concentrated, or just regular Dawn dish soap, whichever you prefer. What you don't want to use on this is any type of soaps that have things to treat your hands, because a lot of those actually have oils and stuff in them, and are counterproductive to what we're trying to do. So, like if you're using Jet Dry, you just need a little bit of water in your tub, and that'll break the surface tension. And you'll see if you have things like leaves and stuff floating, you'll see it immediately spread out and break the surface tension. So now that we've got our material in the pan, what we want to do is we want to begin agitating. I like to get everything level in the pan. Hold the pan kind of level and flat. And what we want to do is we want to start agitating everything in the pan. And the trick here, what a lot of people do, is they're scared of losing the gold, so they do this really gently, and what they'll do is they'll swirl the water like that. If you're just moving the water, you're really not doing anything. We want to get everything in the pan moving at once. So I want to get all that material moving, just like that. And then I want to gradually angle the pan towards those riffles. And there again, if I pour the water out, you can see that the way the material is set up there, the lowest center of gravity is right here on the base of the pan. That's where we want all the gold to concentrate. So what we've done now is we've kind of got the pan set, and there's a couple of different cycles. I call this the agitation cycle. So we basically agitate the pan, get it all set like that, and then we're going to stop the agitation process. We don't want to move it anymore. What I use is that angle a little bit steeper than the gold pan. I push it all the way in, and I just gently lift it out of the water. And the key here is you want material washing out of the pan. Just that lighter layer on top. I do that about 3 or 4 times, and then I'll stop. You want to get all your material back in the pan, re-agitate it, reconcentrate it, gradually move it back to the front again, and then stop your agitation process. Wash, rinse, and repeat. And we're back to the wash cycle. And there again, you can see I'm washing the stuff, and I'm always watching along these ridges and the grooves to make sure I don't have any gold washing out. Occasionally you'll see gold specks start kind of floating up towards the front, and that's what you want to watch for so you don't wash any of those out of the pan. And then I take and I do this again. Now as you do this, one of the things you'll notice is the material on the surface, the dirt on the surface, turns a blonde color, turns that real light brown color. That's the stuff we're washing away. And we stop again. And as we start getting towards the more concentrated part of the pan, what you can see back in here is the black sand. That's the heavy iron. Gold is 19 times heavier than that iron. So it should be up underneath all of that stuff, and we're just washing away that lighter brown. We'll continue to process, continue to wash away the brown, leaving that black sand concentrates in there. And you can see we're getting all these rocks and stuff like that starting to show up in the bottom. A lot of those are heavy iron rocks. Sometimes you'll get pieces of quartz, and occasionally the quartz will have gold stuck in it. Alright, and then once we get it down, we continue to process, and you see I'm not throwing those rocks out of there. You can reach in and pick the rocks out, kind of separate them, pull them out of the pan, and get rid of them. You want to look at them because sometimes we get some interesting little gemstones in our material. We found pieces of jade. We also get beautiful garnets up there. Sometimes they're faceted, they're just beautiful looking. We also get jasper, and so you just never know what kind of gemstones you might find in there as well. There again, we agitate the pan and rinse it a little bit more. And once we got it down to where it's pretty concentrated about like that, what I do is I stop the agitation process, I reset it once again, and then what I do is I come to the front. See how I've got it set about like that? I'll come to the front and I'll gently tap the pan, about like that. What that does is it pulls the heavy gold right towards the front of the pan underneath it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that in a pile like that. I'm going to gently put my water on the back end of the pan. I like to pour out enough water where I've got about the same amount of water as I have material at the top. And then you can start gently swirling the water around, exposing. You see the gold start to expose. That's a nice piece right there. There's another little nuggety piece there, and you see the gold start to uncover in the pan. There we go. You see how much heavier it is than the black sand. Even the black sand's kind of washing away there. And as I tap the pan again, you can see how the gold just pulls itself right out of the black sand. Somewhat. It's a little easier if I come to the front of it and do it like that. So the idea is we're trying to get just the values out of that. Alright, so now that I've got my gold pretty much separated from most of the black sand and the lighter rock there, how do I get that out? So what I'm going to teach you here is pretty cool. First thing you want to do is slowly bleed off your water. So the trick here is that the damp or wet gold will stick to a dry finger, but it's absolutely critical that your finger's dry. What I use is a shirt sleeve or something like that, a towel, anything that's dry, and I just rub my finger on it and get my vial ready. I forgot to talk about this part. So to get your vial ready, you want to pull the cap off. You want to take your vial and you want to dip it all the way in and give it a little bit of shake. And you want to fill the entire bottle up, take all the air out of it to where you actually have a bubble of water sitting on top of the vial. Okay, once we have that bubble of water, the trick here is that the wet gold will stick to a dry finger. So it's absolutely critical you take your finger. I use a shirt or a pant leg or a towel, whatever you can, to make sure your finger's dry. Okay, and you want to make sure your gold isn't sticking in a puddle of water. So I kind of lift it up so where it's separated, and you just touch a piece of gold with a dry finger, and you can see the gold will stick right to your finger. And then to put it in a bottle, all I have to do is take that, always do this over your pan. I just touch that bubble. Boom. I don't know if you saw that, but it fell right in the bottle. And you can get the tiniest speck of gold out of your gold pan by using this technique. It's one of the reasons I like it. You can also buy tweezers and do all of that if you want. Some of these bigger chunks, like this is a nice little round nugget. You can just, of course, pick the round pieces up just about. And that one's got a little bit of chunk to it. We love the nuggets. But gold is gold. A lot of what we mine, sometimes we get in areas where it's primarily small gold, or flour gold we call it. And there again, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of pushing the gold up out of the black sand, and then I'm going to dip my finger in there, so if gold got stuck on my finger, it'll fall back down. And there again, I'm just kind of separating the gold out. And these pieces that are isolated, dry the finger again, touch it, and just continue the process until you've got all the gold out of your black sand. And this is some really nice gold. When we find gold of this quality on a river, this is the stuff where we stop using a gold pan and we bring in equipment and start really moving ground to mine it. This is would be really high grade. And yeah, nice coarse gold, rough pieces. And we continue the process until we get all that gold out. Piece there, I'll grab that one. If you're not sure if the gold's still stuck on your finger, dip your finger back in the water in the pan, and if there's a gold flake stuck on there, it'll drop right in there. So the next thing is, in order to get the lid on, because there again, these are glass vials, what I want to do is I want to get some of the water out of this and leave a little bit of an air bubble up here so that the compression of putting the lid on won't shatter the glass. So what I do is I take this back over the gold pan and I gently give it a little bit of a tap. You can see the water just kind of slightly flicking out of there, giving me a nice little bubble, kind of like the bubble on a level. And about that much, enough space in there where you can get the lid on without it breaking. And you just take your cap, put your finger on the bottom, and hold it up like this around the neck and gently press your lid on. And there's the process. How to pan for gold. Have a great day, and yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again. We'll have several YouTube videos, some of it explaining where the gold comes from on our mine and the processes we use to get it out of the ground. And there again, thanks for watching.